Line just snapped.
I still got it.
We need another harpoon now!
Yeah, get me my harpoon!
I went out giant bluefin tuna fishing with Captain Cam Feria and Captain Riley Wright. What I didn't know at the time is that this would be one of the most memorable tuna fights I have ever experienced, which is saying quite a bit given that the previous year someone ran over our line with a tuna on it and we still somehow landed the fish. But this trip wasn't like other commercial bluefin trips that we've gone on. What made the stakes very high for this trip was the money.
I did look at a price sheet from Japan mid-June and I saw a fish go for 20 grand.
We went fishing on June 2nd, which is the day after the first legal opening day of commercial bluefin tuna. And because supply was so low, being so early in the season, the price was at least double than what it is at the time that I'm posting this video. But to some, what's more important than the money are the bragging rights, because everybody wants to be the first guy in the state to catch a giant.
Yeah, I got a phone call in mid-May saying they seen tuna and whales up there, so I went and took a look and they were there, and I think you guys went up there for mackerel right after that.
We had been mackerel fishing. Saw them blowing up on top. You have footage from that. You probably have me like fangirling, like, oh my God, look at the tuna.
About a week prior, Cam and I had gone out on 2 separate occasions to go scout for tuna. The plan was to scout for a few hours and then fish for mackerel for a few hours so we could cover the cost of gas. But we found way more than just mackerel. We found porpoises and we found tuna.
This is Cam from Cambo Charters. Today is May, I don't know the date, and those are f***ing tuna. Oh my God. Oh my God! Dude, well, they're right there, they're right there, they're right there. I just saw them under the water. Oh, they're right there, they're right there.
We saw them come clean out of the water a week before.
I think it was May 17th I went for a ride out there, and I was only out there for an hour and I saw them. So I was expecting pretty good with all the bait around.
So on the morning of June 2nd, Cam and Riley went to the same place that they saw tuna weeks prior. And you wouldn't believe what we saw. There was a pod of big basking sharks, and they did not seem to care about our presence and swam right up to the boat. This is probably one of the coolest things that I've ever caught on camera. I don't know why they were swimming circles right around the boat. Perhaps someone who's an expert in shark biology can comment below. Now both Cam and Riley had the same goal in mind, which was find bluefish. Live bluefish are known to be some of the best giant bluefin tuna bait around.
Yeah, when the bluefish are around, I'd say that's a good bet. If you find bluefish, hang around with them, you'll probably encounter some giants.
They're bigger fish. They put out more vibration. The tuna can pick it up from further away. It's also a bigger meal for the tuna. So I mean, you know, why eat a half-pound mackerel when you can eat a 10-pound bluefish?
The problem was, bluefish were not easy to locate that morning. So Riley decided to catch and use live mackerel as bait, and Cam decided to troll some frozen ballyhoo that he brought. And that was when things started to get interesting.
I think we could just cover ground quicker. The fish were up top. I think we could cover the ground good with ballyhoo, get some skirts on them. We wouldn't have to worry about like catching bait, drifting bait. We just get there, throw the ballyhoo out, and I thought we were gonna get whacked quick, which we kind of did on the ballyhoo.
I want to grab those ballyhoo.
Where you want me to put them?
So we had trolled ballyhoo around for like 5 minutes maybe. Riley had been marking fish on his down rod, and we were like, screw this, we're gonna set up some baits on the down rod and drift. I think we're gonna go tight. We take the boat out of gear, we start cranking in that ballyhoo, and as I'm cranking in the ballyhoo, it goes wham! It takes like a little bit of drag and then nothing. We're like, what the f? And we reel it up and my ballyhoo was just right in half. Only thing that's left is the head that was attached to the pin rig.
Take a picture of that. I just want to pull the ballyhoo. Now I know they're working.
Not even there 5 minutes. We may have been there for less than 5 minutes, got whacked.
While Cam was debating if he should keep fishing ballyhoo or switch to live mackerel, Riley saw some action of his own.
Yeah, we showed up, we saw tuna feeding on mackerel in 50 feet of water. We're throwing poppers and Ronzis at them, but we only had one hit come up and explode on the popper. The plan was to find Max in the morning and hope to find some bluefish as the sun came up. But the bluefish didn't show up till that tide.
When we had them blowing up all around us and we still like didn't go tight, I was like, ooh, this might not be good. We were actually shooting the shit with Riley at one point in time, and we had like a massive school come up right next to the boat, and we did not go tight, and I was like, this is not looking good.
After the early morning action, things really slowed down. So we decided to just put out what we had, which was live mackerel, and kill time.
What'd he say?
I don't freaking know, dude.
That was Chinese, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
What was it? You're telling me that?
I will need you to pull off and then stand by our vessel. We need to move on.
You tell me that's not Chinese?
No, dude.
What is it?
There were some false alarms though, like some big striper that decided to eat our mackerel on the down rod.
I remember catching sea bass. I remember catching like a 35-pound bass on the down rod. I remember dropping my tuna jigging rod and catching like a 25-pound bass on like a 8-inch pink Ronzi, and it's like wham, whacking a good bass.
Dude. Bro.
Dude, I was gonna say, he's 35 all day.
But right as we were about to call it quits and head home, we finally found the fish that we were looking for.
Yeah, right before you guys said anything, we got covered up in bluefish.
Alright, mate.
I think this is a striper. Yeah, this is not a sea bass.
Yeah, the rubber band just popped.
You had flipped the jig in front of the boat, so you set the hook, and you're like, oh, this isn't a sea bass. And then it was a big bluefish. And as you were fighting that, the down rod goes off with another bluefish on the mackerel.
Dude,
Yeah.
I think it's a bluefish. I think it's a bluefish. You want him?
He's a bluefish?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah, he's our bluefish. Yes, I do want him.
That is a gator blue, dude. Gator freaking blue.
After over 4 hours of fishing, we had finally found a school of bluefish. And both Cam and Riley had the exact same idea, which was grab a good-sized bluefish and use it as giant tuna bait. Now Cam had 2 live mackerel out. This first rod had a floater, which is a mackerel attached to a balloon that swims around on the surface. And this second rod was the down rod, which had a mackerel at a fixed depth. And that mackerel got ate by a bluefish.
So I had reeled up that bluefish, saw that it was a bluefish, and we had it flipping on the surface right next to the boat. And then the floater, I was just bringing in to put the down rod bluefish on the hook. And as I was reeling that in, the balloon went down. At first, I thought it was a bluefish. If you recall, I was like, oh, I'm on, thinking it was a bluefish.
Get some bluefish, start setting it up, and all of a sudden I hear Cam, we're on, over the radio, so.
And I'm on.
In deck.
Hold on. We're on a tuna. Tuna. We're tight.
The drag started to dump, and I was like, it's a tuna. And I like turn and start the engine, and that fish's first run was vicious. Like, I don't know if you remember the footage, but that rod just wham, like crazy head shakes, or maybe it was on his tail. I don't know, it was wild.
Eventually Cam and I moved the rod to the bow, and I get behind the wheel.
Hell yeah, baby! Woo! Oh, Riley!
Riley, we're tight, Riley. Dude, Riley, it was just like the freaking ballyhoo. I was on the reel. Cam was bringing it in because we were getting bluefish, and on the reel, he got hit.
At first I thought he was a bluefish because we were in the school of bluefish. This ain't no f***ing bluefish, baby!
We were in a school of like massive bluefish. We hooked 2, and then
just throw it in gear to him.
Yeah, that's what I was dealing with those bluefish. I'm about to put one out because as soon as I saw the bluefish, I was like, oh, there's giants chasing those bluefish, no doubt.
For the next hour, Cam and I would take turns fighting the tuna and steering the boat. At these early stages of fighting a giant tuna, things are pretty straightforward. Person on the rod keeps the rod bent, and the person on the wheel steers the boat in such a way that the line is straight off the bow. But the closer you get to that tuna, the more complicated things get, and you need a lot more communication and coordination as a team, something that me, a novice tuna fisherman, does not have.
oh god!
But you gotta see that coming. You gotta see that coming, dude.
You have to anticipate. I'm sure I said that 100 times while we were out. It's part of being a fisherman, knowing what that fish is gonna do and kind of reacting before it happens. And the sooner you can react and prepare for what you think the fish is about to do, the better you can fight that fish, the quicker you can get him up, the better chance you have of landing him.
It was at this point where we saw the tuna for the very first time. So Cam grabbed the harpoon and contemplated taking a shot.
Neutral!
Neutral!
Reverse!
Reverse!
Reverse left!
Reverse left!
Neutral.
Neutral.
Go that way.
It black backed us at one point. We probably could have got a shot in it. So fish came up straight up and down, you know, as if he were still regularly swimming. He wasn't on his side. Typically that means the fish is still green. Do not want to stick a fish if it's still green. If we had stuck that fish, it would have dumped all our polyball, took us right to the backing. Not harpooning that fish was definitely the right decision in that moment, and I still stand by that.
After fighting this fish for over an hour, Cam decided that we needed Riley's help because I wasn't driving the boat correctly.
Can you come fight him?
Yeah,
We were gaining way more line when you were fighting him.
I'm ready.
You gotta drive the boat right.
It was tough, not to sound like an but driving the boat is the most important job when fighting a fish. I mean, anybody can kill a fish on any boat if you have the right driver on it.
Go on 6. Tell Riley we'll take a hand.
Tell Riley what?
We'll take a hand.
Riley, we'll take a hand if you can spare one.
What makes steering the boat difficult is how bluefin tuna like to fight once they're close to the boat. Tuna do these things called pinwheels, where they swim in these giant circles underneath the boat. During the first half of the pinwheel, the tuna is swimming towards you, and the person on the wheel has to maneuver the boat out of the way. The person on the rod is trying to gain as much line as possible. It's literally a game of tug of war. At the end of the first half of the pinwheel, the guy on the rod then has to swing it to the other side of the boat as the tuna is swimming away. The guy on the wheel then has to follow the tuna, because if you just stay still or if you're late to follow the tuna, it's going to take back all of the line that you gained during the first half of the pinwheel. And that's exactly what was happening here. I wasn't quick enough on the second half of the pinwheel, and we were losing line more than we were gaining it.
Go right. Neutral.
But at long last, we saw a boat in the distance, and it was none other than Riley.
I was gonna say, did you not hear me? Reverse left. Yeah.
No, I just was like, hey, how long has it been since they hooked up? And I think it was like an hour and 15 or so. So I called you guys and said, hey, you guys want a hand? And I could tell by your voices you were in a little bit of a panic. So we steamed over, and you know, trying to get on your boat wasn't the easiest task either because that fish kept circling. But somehow I managed to jump on and help you guys.
Left. Riley, keep that off.
Now that Riley was on board, he could fight the fish, and Cam could steer the boat.
We were stuck at about 50 feet of line out for a good while. And then when Riley got on the boat, we were finally able to start making some headway on the fish.
But there were other challenges.
Cam's boat's a little set up for the smaller guy, so my knees are getting beat up on the bow a little bit, and I'm used to fighting off the stern of my boat, so it's a little different, but it's just awkward. Like, I'm tall, so I kind of want to straddle it, but my legs are big, so when the rod turns, I'm getting pinched in there, and then with his forward seating, I'm standing on him and then slipping off of them, but not used to his boat, you know, just I've been on his boat twice.
That was stressful, Mike.
How's my boat driving skills?
That was actually minty. I couldn't believe I actually got over here.
What do you think, Cam, if you were rated out of 100?
Huh?
If you were giving me a B, C?
Somebody who doesn't drive a boat good.
Yeah?
Yep. For somebody who doesn't drive a boat, I'd put you pretty good.
Like a C plus?
Yeah.
All right.
That's a good rating.
So I passed.
You passed.
All right, let's go.
We were now approaching the 2-hour mark, and this tuna was not showing signs of giving up.
But yeah, we couldn't break its big circles, is what I felt like the issue was there for an hour. You got to pick up, you know, pick their heads up every little bit you can, and then as they come at the boat, you got to back the boat up and push the rod to the other side, and it's a little bit of a sketchy maneuver while doing it. Until you get used to doing it a while, you have a bad guy on the wheel and you're just going in reverse, you're gonna gain line on that top circle, and then as they go in reverse, you're gonna actually lose more line every time, so that fish is gonna slowly get further away if you don't have a good wheelman and be aggressive with it, you know. It's definitely a game of inches, and they take hundreds of feet, you know. Everyone thinks, you know, you're sitting there not holding the rod and it's easy and everything else, but it kicks the shit out of you.
After countless pinwheels, the fish finally started to show signs of giving up. And that was when Riley first got a good look at it.
It's huge. Yeah, it was a big fish for early June, I thought. But yeah, that first sight, when you see him coming up for the first time, you're like, oh. I bet it was over 800, 110.
I mean, we saw him, he was big, it was like, holy but we just got a better look at him this time. We still have to kill him, you know.
I did look at a price sheet from Japan mid-June, and I saw a fish go for 20 grand. It was only a 300 pound fish.
Cam, you might have a shot at him right here.
You tell me if I do. I'll
Yeah, hit him. No. What the fuck? You're alright, I got it, Cam. Alright.
It was now simply about shot selection. After 2 hours, the fish was finally tired enough for Cam to land a good harpoon shot. So him and Riley had to coordinate the right time in between the pinwheels to stick him.
There's your shot.
I got a good harpoon shot on that fish. I mean, boat positioning during the harpoon shot was less than ideal, but the harpoon shot itself, I mean, you'll see in the clip, I stick them, I then grab the end of the harpoon and I just plunge down for two reasons. One, to get that harpoon into the fish to the best of my ability, but then also I'm trying to push that fish deeper away from the boat because of the way he was angling.
Where the the rest of the line is what I thought. Normally you want 150, 200 feet of line on your harpoon dart. You had about 20 feet of line. And then the rod snapped.
There's your shot.
Fine. Fine.
You hit him?
Yep.
I was calm, if you recall, because I remember you're like, oh my God, and Riley was like, oh my God, and I was like, it's fine, just, I don't know, I was just saying it's fine. We still had the fish on. Fish was still on the line, still had a dart in the fish. We were not out of the fight yet.
Bring me the harpoon.
Well, I just went back to business as usual like we were doing and, pushing the rod off. The fish was going at a different angle than I was used to for the last hour, and I just went to push the rod. I should have backed the drag off. Lessons learned, I guess. Hard lessons when tuna fishing. My whole hand was numb, but I just jumped back on the rod, and then I asked you to come help reel while I handlined it.
That hurt my hand like a mother.
Hand line him. You want another glove?
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's a 100-incher.
Here you go.
At this point, the best course of action seems to be to hand line the fish in, because the tuna is still attached by the harpoon line and line running straight to the reel. So while Riley's pulling the line with his bare hands, I'm reeling in the line.
That was like the first of many mistakes that we just continued to make.
I start hand lining, you jump on the reel, and the fish goes to take some line, and it snapped right at the guide, and I just squeezed my hand, and the line slipped all the way up to the crimp, and it just held.
Get ready with the gaff.
Yep.
Oh. Line just snapped.
Yep. I still got it.
Do you have any slack behind you that I can grab so we have two hands?
No.
Me and Riley were struggling to hand line that fish. It was not good. Kind of accepted I was either gonna die or land that fish. So I had wrapped it around my hand. Riley was like, you shouldn't do that. I'm gonna kill this fish.
You're talking about a leader with a crimp on it and a 20-foot harpoon line after the rod breaks. That's all we got connected to it. The end of it was here. All I had was the crimp stuck, and the glove was just holding it. If we had enough line, we could have crimped it onto another rod or whatever, but we didn't. We had 20 feet of line. Even at that point, I don't think we had enough slack to actually make that happen, because you're talking about a 5-minute maneuver maybe.
At this point, I grabbed the harpoon line, meaning all three of us were now fully occupied holding up this 800-pound
We
tuna.
need another harpoon now.
Yeah, give me my harpoon. Get over here.
We had now spent around 3 minutes trying to handline this fish in, and it was not getting any closer. Thankfully, Riley's buddies came over with Riley's harpoon. The plan was to stick the fish with the second harpoon, and with the force of 2 harpoon lines, we would have a chance of actually bringing this fish to the surface. So we lined up the boats, and I got ready to receive the second harpoon, while Cam and Riley held on for dear life. But of course, that didn't go as planned either.
I got the poon.
Yeah, harpoon on your right. Oh, you're caught.
Let go.
During the handoff, the harpoon line got caught on the cleat of Riley's boat. So there's a delay in getting Cam the second harpoon. Would things have gone differently if we got the harpoon sooner? Who knows?
Riley's buddy brings over another harpoon, and I foolishly drop the hand line to hit the fish with a second harpoon. I pick it up, and that fish swings, and I try and put a second dart in him.
If Cam got another harpoon in it with my dart, it would have been feasible, maybe. I feel like when goes wrong tuna fishing, everything goes wrong.
Nope, again. He's gonna go on the other side.
You pull?
You hit it.
No, I didn't.
And I hummed that harpoon, and I hit the fish, not solid. And I believe what was our nail in our coffin is when I hit that fish, he kind of spooked a little and kicked and pulled that first dart.
What? It's like, what the There's nothing we could turn on, dude. That was just that's giant fishing right there, in a nutshell.
And we're pulling, and pops right out. Come to find out, the harpoon dart actually never released out of the harpoon itself, so it was just stuck in there with a 30-pound harpoon stick with it. So I think that had something to do with it pulling out.
That dart never pulled from the shaft, unfortunately. Ultimately, that's why we lost the fish. You know, it was one of many things that, you know, led to us losing that fish. But if that shaft pulled from the dart, we would have killed that fish.
Yeah, it would have been worth some decent amount of money. Yeah, depends on your buyer and what happens with the fish. So
10 cents. Fish was worthless. Cat food.
It's still fresh. No. Nope, too soon.
I'm gonna talk to the camera. I'm not. I don't,
Too soon.
you
I don't
need-
want to hear it. That's all you need to know, guys.
I'll tell you later.